Okay, so I'm doing this screencast a week late. Well, a week and 2 days late after I just got out of a rainstorm back from class, so that's pretty good. Overall, my World Cafe was pretty brief. I'd say no more than 35 minutes because I lost my lunch near the end of it due to some women problems, unfortunately. So I had to cut it short and go home. But I will do my best to provide an overview of how it went as it went before I had to cut it short. So I have done World Cafes before for my first level social sciences class that I did not last semester, but the semester before my third practicum. I hosted a class also on grading, believe it or not. So that was interesting to see something similar, as well as homework, which was the main focus of my World Cafe, grading and homework. I pretty much used the same facilitatorial approach this time as I did last year, in which I wanted to host just a casual conversation, a discussion, rather than a class with students. I mean, I treated them like students, obviously, because I was the one facilitating and leading. But I wanted a more casual approach. So I baked cookies and I brought juice boxes and we sat outside on a picnic table and sat down. I really wanted to sit down with my group so we'd be at equal level, but I was starting to feel very, very sick, so I stood and I kind of rocked side to side, which prevented me from taking notes, unfortunately, so I'm going to be working off memory here. So the nature of the discussions we were pretty much in agreement when it came to the reading. 3 of us have had this book on our wish list for a while, so we're familiar with the author and some of his methods and anecdotes. I included several questions, not all of which we got to. Here we go. Stuff like the simple thing, what's your favorite part of the article? Is just something that stood out to you. I asked some more in-depth questions related to the article. How do you feel about giving out zeros? Is there ever a case where a student, we're giving a student a 0 for their work is appropriate? And we were pretty much all in agreement that zeros are not necessary unless there's no work given, and especially if there's no work given after a second chance to give work. I also asked them, how do you feel about late penalties? And we had a wonderful conversation about a suggestion that was presented in the reading, which was late slips or late forms, a document you can hand a student that will allow them to outline why their work is late, if they're having trouble with it, if there's something at home, or they have extracurricular activities. And it serves as a guide for the teacher on how to best approach encouraging the student to getting their work done in a timely fashion so that they can get it marked. Vanessa and Tabitha loved this idea. They explained it in depth that they're going to include it in their classrooms, Vanessa especially for her English second language class. Julian was really in depth about the CARE guidelines, which was CARE aims reduction and empowerment. He didn't agree with them. He thought that they were a bit flawed, and I asked why. He says most students just don't appear to care about grading consequences, and when that's the case, you don't go about trying to find a new method to get them into the homework itself. You have to reshape the homework in order to appeal to them. So he was very opinionated on it, and we had a good listen with him, and we all agreed, like, if it comes to the point where a student does not care about their grade, then that's not a question on them, it's a question on you as a teacher. Like, where are you going wrong that they couldn't care less about passing a class? There's something wrong. Let's see. we asked, what do you do if a student doesn't care about grading penalties? Well, I just answered that you have to get to the root of the problem and then switch up your teaching style to appeal to them and make sure that they do get on track with something that is passable, or else all go wrong. I asked, what did they think about grade penalty alternatives? And we had a great laugh about the, I think it was called the 2-stage quiz, in which you tell students straight up, okay, so I'm going to present you with a quiz outright right now. Not right now. I'm going to give you a quiz next week, for example, and it'll be the easy quiz. But if you're not there, the next time you have to take it, or you get the chance to take it, it's going to be a harder quiz. And we thought that was so funny because we lied through our teeth. We wouldn't bother making a harder quiz. That's not fair. But it does give incentive for the students who think, oh, there's going to be a quiz next week, I'm just not going to show up, to show up. Because they're like, oh, either I can do it now when I have the chance, or I can risk it and do a harder one later because I don't want to go. We love that idea. We think it's really, really great. Don't bother making a harder quiz. Just give them the same quiz twice if they really can't show up. But they will think it's the harder one unless they communicate with their friends. But chances are more students are going to show up for the quiz the first time. I think that's a great strategy, and everyone else agreed. We asked how much time do we usually give our students to complete projects and assignments. And we are all in agreement that a 2-week interval with at least 2 or 3 classes of work periods is appropriate. At that point, after the 2 or 3 classes where they have time to work on a project or assignment in class, it's homework. You gotta do it at home. And by the end of those 1.5 to 2 weeks, you have to be ready to hand it in or present. So yeah, we think that interval is good because it gives students time to work on it in class while we also have a chance to move into a next unit, because usually we're ending units with an assignment or a project. Overall, it was a really great discussion, even though I had to go home and empty my stomach very soon afterwards. I wish I had gotten to do way more, but I'm enjoying our group handling it so far, carrying it on, the projects. As for homework, I don't think any of us are going to be very heavy-handers when it comes to homework as teachers, but we'll find alternatives. I think that's just the millennial Gen Z way to teach, is to not bring school home unless it's backwards schooling, which we discussed today, which I'm sure Vanessa will mention, hopefully, because it was very interesting. But yeah, overall, I loved it. I'm really happy we did the World Cafe again, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 we have going on. Alrighty.